Good morning. My name is Janine van Pinksteren. You did not so bad at all. I share the responsibility in the city center of Amsterdam with the central government of Amsterdam. In my current position, I have become far more aware and even more passionate about the importance of the bicycle in our city. Of course, I always cycle myself. I do not have a car with a chauffeur. I'm doing everything on a bike. And that's the normal way for politicians to do in Holland and especially in Amsterdam, because it's short distances and small streets. Cars are not the right thing to have there. I feel proud and honored in this position of joint responsibility to have the opportunity to tell you more about cycling in Amsterdam. I will give you, Amsterdam, you see Amsterdam isn't big at all, you certainly know. We have 800,000 inhabitants in Amsterdam, in this area, and I'm the chair of that city center, which is very small. In Amsterdam, 800 inhabitants. These are the facts. 880,000 bikes estimated and 220,000 cars, a big difference. I will give you some facts about the city center of Amsterdam. It is 83,000 inhabitants, but there are also 90,000 people who work there, and that is all about on an area that is 8 square kilometers, from which 2 kilometers is water. So on 6 square kilometers we have all this, and we also have 2 million visitors a year. That is in Amsterdam, and I'm sure they are all visiting the center, and a lot of them do not even come out of this small center. I will show you, as you can imagine, it's pretty busy in that small area, and especially with bikes. I go back to that because it helps perhaps. In the past few years, the number of bikes on the street has gone up fairly steadily, and in the past 20 years, the number of journeys by bike has increased by 44%, and the growth will still continue. We estimate about 20% until 2020. For short journeys under 7.5 kilometers, more than 47% of all distances covered in Amsterdam is by bike. 47%. In the city center, it's above 50%. 4 years ago, for the first time, the number of bikes going in and out of the city center was higher than the number of cars. And I will explain you briefly how this came. This is the kind of image you saw in the video that you might recognize now. This is the Leidseplein, perhaps a bit familiar to you, the center of our main nightlife district, filled with cars in the 70s. At the time, there were serious problems with the quality of life in Amsterdam: urban decay, air pollution, poor quality of the public space, and traffic safety were some of the concerns that led to a referendum in 1992. In this referendum, local residents were able to have their say about restricting car traffic in the city center, car traffic that was not necessary in that city center. This resulted in a clear, zone-orientated, all-encompassing plan that includes all forms of transport. The plan's main aim was 31% less car traffic by 2005. We got far less than that. As a result, parking fees at that time went up steadily. Multi-story car parks were realized. The design of public space was focused on creating more space for pedestrians. Public space had to fit the quality of the historic city center. And extensive guidelines for the design of public space published in 2000 stipulated that in terms of space, the car would be given the lowest priority. As a result, this so-called Amsterdammertje disappeared. We needed that to prevent cars to park on pedestrian road. Disappeared and were replaced by elevated pavements. You see that at your right side, at the right side. And at the present time, we can say that this all has led to fewer parked cars belonging to visitors arriving by car, to car ownership that is much less than average in the Netherlands, to fewer parking spaces on the street and for cars, of course, and greater investment in multi-story parks and public transport. For example, we are now building, with a lot of difficulties in the past years, a new underground line, the North-South underground line, which is directly under the historic center of Amsterdam. It's not easy in our soil. The referendum in 1992 was a conscious choice for the city center to serve a mixture of residential, business and leisure functions and contribute to the liveliness as it is today. Oops. I'll show you Amsterdam's main bicycle network. This is what we call in Dutch the hoofdnetfiets. You know, our word for bicycle is fiets. Whose plans go back to the 1980s. Bicycle networks must meet certain criteria related to connectivity, safety, comfort, and straightforwardness. For example, the bicycle network should avoid main roads wherever possible, so that it can be a sort of a scenic route too. Priority at intersections should go to cyclists wherever possible. A basic principle also is that parking may not get in the way of cyclists. A bicycle path, I'm sorry to give that numbers, has a minimum width of 1.8 meters, and a bicycle lane a minimum of 1.5 meters, which is really a minimum. That is in the center of Amsterdam. For the rest of Amsterdam and for the rest of Holland, the numbers are higher, but we do not have the space to have such wide lanes or paths. I should also add that Amsterdam has invested heavily in traffic safety in general, and that this has been monitored and financed for a good number of years, which is, of course, very important. Apart from this network, what makes cycling so attractive for the people in Amsterdam? You see, this is all very nice. Well, even in the snow, we take the bicycle. It's nice to do that when it snows. Cycling is cheap and can get you quickly from A to B and very certain, especially in Amsterdam, where distances are relatively short, both in the center itself and between the different districts. The historic inner city with its narrow streets is an attractive place to ride on your bike. And from your bike you can take, and from there your bike can take you into the surrounding countryside from the center of Amsterdam within 20 minutes. So it's an ideal mode of transport for recreation as well. Cycling is healthy. It's good for the environment. Cycling has a positive image and is certainly part of the national character. Everyone is happy to be seen with a bike, whatever level of education, whatever position you have in society. You know it from queen to student, we have a bike.